Welcome to ERSA's Greater Manchester Employment Support Network. I'm the honour of being your chair today. So my name's Greg Bate. I'm the National Strategic Partnership Manager of the CTEC Group. And yeah, welcome. This has been the first one of these for a while, and it'd be an understatement to say that quite a bit has happened in the last 12 to 18 months since we all got together. So a little bit of housekeeping. I'm not expecting a fire alarm in my house, so if an alarm goes off, it's definitely not me. No, in all seriousness, we have got some presenters today, and I am conscious of things such as bandwidth, so I would ask kindly, if you are not presenting, if you could please mute your microphone and probably turn your camera off as well. At the end of each presenter, there will be an opportunity to ask questions. We'll try to manage asking those questions via the hands up button on Teams, and then you're more than welcome to put your camera on and ask the presenter your question. If that becomes a little bit unmanageable, then questions can always be popped in the chat box, and I'm happy to ask the relevant presenter the relevant questions, but there will definitely be opportunities. So as I say, an absolute packed agenda today. But I just wanted to, because it's been 12 to 14 months since the last one got together, I just wanted to give a brief overview of why we're all here, a welcome to new members, and also a bit of an update for those that have attended previously. So ERSA has been working with the Greater Manchester Combined Authority for around about 6 years now, and this network's been running for a similar length of time. The Combined Authority felt there was a real space for this within Greater Manchester. Obviously, you've got the learner provider network, but that tends to focus around the training and the skills. So there was the space for employability professionals to come together, to share knowledge, share best practice, and discuss what's happening in the employability arena. So the aim of this network is to give providers a stronger voice in matters that affect the services that they provide, and ultimately the intention is to improve the quality of the service overall across Greater Manchester. The focus is on connecting the employability support provider network across the whole of GM, and the network is made up of local providers, of policy makers, and of decision makers, and really does provide the opportunity to get some key employability updates from ERSA, to get some local updates and opportunities from Greater Manchester, as well as provide the network opportunities to promote their services, what they're doing, and see how we can work together in collaboration and in partnership. So without further ado, I'd like to bring in Elizabeth Taylor, the Chief Executive of ERSA. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Okay, yeah, good morning. It's really good to be here with everybody online in GM this morning. I think we should all look forward to the point next year when we can be together in a room. And I think it's fair to say that the GM forum is probably our most vibrant local forum, and it's really important that having meeting again now today, we continue to meet on a regular basis. So a quick ERSA update, because we've got a great action-packed agenda today. It's the Employability Awards run by ERSA this Thursday, so don't forget to tune in and see the worthy winners. We will celebrate those awards. Everybody is being nominated, shortlisted, and the winners on Thursday, but we are going to have an opportunity to present people with their awards at the ERSA conference in January, which it will be held on the 19th and 20th of January. Laura is just finalising the venue, but please make a note of those dates. It's going to be the big sector event of 2022. ERSA's carrying on with the UK SPF work, looking very much at how we ensure that employment support is part of the Shared Prosperity Fund funding agenda, that we look at how we can strengthen the argument that participation and engaging with job seekers that aren't readily applying for vacancies should be a big part of the Shared Prosperity Fund. We've got a Kickstart policy paper that is ready to be released this week. In the first instance, we're taking that policy paper to politicians and civil servants and decision makers, and our focus is on the remaining months of Kickstart and how we make Kickstart the success that it should be. And finally, we are doing some work around self-employment support, because we've got real concerns within the sector about the ending of funding through NEA, etc. And we're really building the case for self-employment support to be funded, and alongside that funding to be also embedded into the mainstream provisions. So anybody who's interested in our Share Prosperity Fund work or Kickstart work or self-employment, put your details in the chat, but also drop an email to policy@ersa.org.uk. And we look forward to seeing you all at the conference in January. Thank you. Back over to you, Greg.
Fantastic. Thank you, Elizabeth. And yeah, I'm sure everyone else on this call is looking forward to the ERSA Awards. It promises to be a great one. Anyone, any questions for Elizabeth or ERSA before we move on the agenda? No, fantastic. So just a polite request again, if you're not presenting, if you'd like to turn your cameras off and ensure that you are on mute, and we'll hand over to Sharon Wheatman, Senior Project Manager for ESF for Greater Manchester Combined Authority. Thanks, Sharon.
Fabulous. Thank you, Greg, and good morning to all of you. It's lovely to see you all bright and early this morning. I am just going to do a bit of a whistle-stop overview for you all of Greater Manchester, because as Greg said, we've had a bit of a hiatus on the forum. So during the pandemic, etc., we've not had a chance to get together. So I do have a very large number of slides, but I'm not going to literally go through all of them. We will share the slides afterwards so that you've got all of the information, etc. But I'm just going to run through kind of a little bit of information about the landscape in GM at the moment, some of our response, some of the ways that you can get involved, and I will pop my email in the chat, and if anybody wants to get in touch afterwards to kind of talk about how you can work with us on these agendas, I'm really happy to do that. So without further ado, I will share my screen. And so please don't worry about the number of slides. I will zip through them for you. There we go. Okay, so just a little bit of kind of general background in terms of the labour market, claimant figures, etc., and what it looks like. I'm sure many of you will be familiar with this. So we had employment rises in Greater Manchester. So employment rose by 5% in the year up to October. So you can see on the graph there, Greater Manchester against the rest of the UK. So GM doing quite well. And our claimant count continues to fall. Despite furlough ending, we didn't see a huge increase in the claimant count, which again is great to see. However, universal credit has gone down slightly, but is still remaining high. And as you'll know, universal credit obviously includes people who are working as well as unemployed. And just a really quick overview there for you of what that looks like across our 10 authorities. So we do have 6 districts that have actually experienced rises over the last year in the universal credit claimant count, and the rest have gone down. So overall it's gone down, but we do have some areas where that is increasing. As a real positive, we have new record job postings. So November this year, we've had a peak. And as you can see there, kind of 20, so these are job postings for Greater Manchester. So really for most of 2021, we've been above those pre-pandemic levels. So a lot of kind of opportunities and vacancies being put out there. However, and this is a national slide, which we've taken from Tony Wilson shared with us, we've not taken from him. But levels of economic inactivity overall are up, and you can kind of see the graph there. For those of you who have dialed in, you will get the slides afterwards. And the jobs recovery hasn't yet reached the most disadvantaged. So whilst vacancies are going up and kind of claimant count is coming down, there are less people within the labour market, and we still have quite a large piece of work to do to make sure that we're connecting those who are furthest away from the labour market into into our jobs, which is ultimately what us all as employment skills providers are here to do. So that's just a quick kind of view of the picture at the moment. So within the Combined Authority, we've been working over the last few months on a refresh of the Greater Manchester strategy, which most, if not all of you, will hopefully be familiar with. So you will know we had quite a number of priority areas previously, and really responding to feedback from stakeholders and wider partners. We've cut those down into 4 key themes. So young people, adults, employers, and wider support. And this revised strategy has been very much built around the recommendations from the Reducing Inequalities report that was published in March this year. If you've not seen that, that is a really great read. And we've tried to weave into the strategy kind of the ways that we can respond to that as we go forward. So just a few key messages in there around what we're doing. I'm not going to read all of those, but it's a quick overview in terms of what the GMCA is kind of working across the sector to try and support in terms of the strategy. But we are really keen that this it's about to be launched anytime now. And as it does come out, we really want it to be a partnership plan. So it's not just the Combined Authorities plan. And we're really keen to hear your thoughts as our kind of employment support network around things you're already doing that contribute to the objectives, things you might want to get involved in to work with us, or any ways that we can support you to do more to kind of work across the region. So we just wanted to share that as a quick update, just pre-launch, just to let you know that that's coming, and we are really keen to work with you on delivering it. Community Renewal Fund, dare I share the slides on this? So as you'll all know, this kind of came out as an opportunity earlier this year with some very, very tight turnarounds. We had some great responses from partners across GM. So this is a national programme, but the Combined Authority kind of did the long list of kind of recommendations into government. We expected all of these to be live a couple of months ago, and to be in kind of midpoint reviews now. As you'll be aware, there was no mention of CRF in the spending review, and then announcements were made the week after. So I've just done a quick couple of slides here. We have 8 projects that have been confirmed for Greater Manchester. All of these providers have confirmed that they're good to go, that there's just some final discussions around kind of mobilisation. But we will have 8 projects going live in January next year. Some are GM wide, some are in specific localities. But there will be more details coming out in terms of contact details, plans for these coming out. But I just wanted to share a quick overview. First 4 are on the screen now, fourth 4 are on the screen now. So they are all in the area of employment and skills. So great for us as a sector. We are really keen that we support all of these providers to land these projects as part of our integrated system, so that they're not kind of sitting alongside and not, that we've reduced confusion. I'll come back to that just towards the end of my quick slot. Greg's on standby to stop me if I overrun massively. So just in terms of a few things we've been doing, we have launched our GM flexible procurement system. So this is kind of our GM mini version of the chest, effectively. And the idea is that this enables us to get our fabulous providers for GM to kind of do the work in advance in terms of getting onto our long list of providers, getting approval for the things that you want to deliver, the areas they want to deliver in, and the kind of budgets that you might be looking at in terms of future commissioning, so that when across GMCA and potentially across our local authorities, when we are commissioning education, work and skills delivery programmes, we can go in, we can see who's already approved to deliver, and that becomes our list of providers who are able to bid. So we have used it for Skills for Growth, and we've used it for our ESF NEET and Youth Employment Programme. And just to let you know, those of you who are on the DPS for apprenticeships, that will be merging into the flexible procurement system early in 2022, so that you don't have to apply to be on 2 frameworks. You'll kind of sit in one, and we'll have one space where we can run our procurement activity. There is a web link on that slide, so details of all the providers who are currently on the FPS is on there. We've had 4 application windows so far, and kind of dates for future ones are posted on that web page. But what we will do now we've got this network back up and running is we'll make sure that we promote any of those opportunities to you all as and when they come out. ESF Skills for Growth. So this is a £42 million ESF programme. Through this, we are delivering employer skills intelligence, and I've got some links on another slide to help you get into those. We are delivering with Growth Company an SME business support package, which is around upskilling, training your existing workforce and enabling progression in work, and then commissioned skills delivery, which currently has commissioned delivery for retrofit, health and social care and digital. Manufacturing bids are being scored at the moment, and we will have opportunities coming up very soon for construction, hospitality and logistics. So again, little link here to all of our web pages around that. And if you are a training provider and interested in looking at any of that, do have a look into the opportunities that are coming up. So yeah, and just to say also through the Growth Company, we have the GM Skills map. Again, none of the links work because I took this from a PDF, but you do have the web pages in there. So what the skills map does is it gives you an overview of skills delivery programs for people who are in work and looking to upskill. Really easy to use. Just go in, you can type in the search what you're looking for, and it will kind of signpost you to range of opportunities that are available. So in terms of NEET and youth employment, we have 4 kind of main GM-wide or national kind of offers that are live at the moment. ESF through the Growth Company, so currently supporting 15 to 24-year-olds. We have the Prince's Trust GM Future Workforce Fund, which I will not steal Laura's thunder because we do have a presentation on this later on in the agenda, but that is live until September 2022, and we're doing a lot of work to plan out next year's activity jointly at the moment. We are just finalising the commissioning of our ESF NEET and Youth Employment Programme. Hopefully announcements coming imminently on that. That will support 6,000 young people across Greater Manchester. And then we have the DWP Youth Offer, obviously focusing on our 18 to 24-year-olds. So just as a kind of a heads up and a future opportunity for any of you who want to be involved, we are looking to do some kind of workshop session similar to this towards the end of January next year, to bring together our kind of main providers and our CRF providers, and anyone else who is kind of delivering services at the moment in this kind of 15 to 24 space. So we can really work together to look at how do we join up our offer on youth hubs, how do we connect young people, how do we make sure we're not all trying to do the same thing. So if anyone is interested in getting involved in that discussion with us, please get in touch. And last slide, Greg, you'll be pleased to know, just a really quick overview of Working Well. So those are our kind of GM-wide adult programmes. So at the moment, that consists of the Specialist Employment Service, Working Health Programme, Early Help, JETS and Enterprising You. So you've got on the slide there just a really quick overview of what all of those programmes are, when they're delivering to, and a quick update on kind of numbers and profiles. But again, if there's any more information that we can provide, really happy to do that. So as I said, that was a huge whistle stop of kind of what's happening across GM at the moment and our opportunities. I've got bad network quality. Let me just come out of that. But I will pop my email in the chat if you are interested in kind of talking to us about any of those opportunities or getting involved in helping us shape the strategy, look at our kind of youth employment network, look at how we can work with you. Really, really keen to do that. And if there's anything you'd like us to maybe focus on in future networks, just let me know, and we will shape the agenda around what's most useful. So I think that's me. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Sharon. We are well on course for time. So does anybody have any questions? While people are thinking about that, there is one in the chat box, Sharon, from Caroline Patton, who's asked, when is the next opening for the new providers to apply to join the FPS, please?
Great question, Caroline. The last opening has just closed and is being evaluated. So the team are looking at dates at the moment, but I will. It will be in the new year. I will ask them for a date and I will get that out via Laura later on today for you.
Excellent. Thank you, Sharon. Anybody? Any other questions before we move on? Perfect. And just to confirm for those that are dialing in and might not be able to see the chat box or the slides, all slides will be shared by ERSA following the event. Perfect. So thank you very much to Sharon and GMCA. So next up is Adele Bryan and Catherine Johnston from DWP, and they're to give an update on the new DPS2 system. So if I can hand over to Adele and Catherine, please.
Yes, thank you for that, Greg. I will just share my screen if that's okay. Okay, so I just wanted to give a brief overview of the DWP's Dynamic Purchasing System 2. So the DPS2 is the Flexible Support Fund Dynamic Purchasing System 2, which went live on the 1st of November. It is the replacement to the existing DPS, which was established in 2016, and that contract came to an end last month. The DPS allows buyers to examine business requirements that come in from the local Job Centre Plus districts and recommend the best quality offer at the best price for the service leader's consideration and approval. The DPS provides a quick route to market for the procurement of smaller scale local provision. And the type of provision we procure through DPS2 includes single interventions, courses and mentoring support tailored to meet the specific requirements of our very diverse customer groups. Each requirement will vary, and however, each request for quote, which will be linked to the category of the employability journey, which has been reviewed for DPS2, and it outlines the categories on the DPS and this associated performance and funding model requirements. Suppliers, once they're actually registered on the system, will indicate as part of their application what services they can offer and to what customer groups. And by doing that, they'll select a number of filters on Basware. The filters actually cover the service category that they're looking to bid against, and the new employability journey has a total of 7 categories. They will also select which customer groups they're able to deliver to, and once on Basware, the suppliers will be able to see there's a range of customer groups that they can choose from, covering a range of different employment-related issues and barriers, such as health and disability, offending issues, homelessness, to mention just a few. They will then select what their preferred delivery method is. So it could be that they prefer to deliver face-to-face or virtually, and that can be either one-to-one or group. And there will also be a hybrid delivery option if they wanted a combination of the two. They will then select the area that they're able to deliver in. The areas have changed slightly from DPS1 to DPS2. So previously, suppliers would select which local job centre delivery area they wanted to deliver to, down to an individual job centre site. Under the new DPS2, the area they'll select will be the Job Centre Plus district. So for the Northwest, they will have the option whether they would like to deliver right across the Northwest, just in Merseyside, Cheshire, or Greater Manchester. When a requirement for provision is established, the buyer will use the Basware filters to identify suppliers who have indicated that they're able to support the provision identified. And an RFQ, which will contain details of the exact requirements, will be issued to all suppliers identified on the Basware system. And there will be an automated email that suppliers will receive to advise them that there is an RFQ available. And then it's for suppliers to decide whether that's something they wish to deliver against, and if it is, to submit their response via a quote. So just wanted to talk through some of the differences between DPS1 and DPS2. So I mentioned that the employability journey has been revised, and it now includes an amended payment model. So for anybody, any suppliers who are familiar with the old system, I would suggest that they review the employability journey, because there are some significant changes on there. The amended payment model does introduce a new flexible funding model, which allows for greater flexibility in terms of the payment outcomes attached to each category. It's perhaps important to mention that this payment model is set by the district when the business requirement comes through to the buyers, so it is non-negotiable. We've also adopted an RFQ approach. So again, anybody who was familiar with the old system will know that in some respects they were almost kind of bidding blindly, uploading numerous offers of numerous types of provision and durations. The introduction of the RFQ process means that on the RFQ, it will provide suppliers with the exact requirements of what we're asking to be delivered. So this should reduce the time constraints on suppliers, as they'll only need to respond the once to each RFQ. Our commercial team have streamlined the accreditation process, so it now only contains essential questions and minimal annexes for suppliers to complete. Full details of those can be found in the supplier guidance. We've also introduced the ability for suppliers to request feedback. So should a supplier respond to a quote and find that they're unsuccessful on that particular competition, then they can actually request feedback from the buying team. We've reduced the use of jargon, so ensuring all communications and processes are written in plain English where possible, and acronyms are avoided. We would have preferred, obviously, a single system, but unfortunately, due to the functionalities of the software available, this wasn't feasible. So we do still have a dual platform approach. So just like under DPS1, we're still using the Jagger or the Bravo system, along with Basware. So how does the DPS work? Potential supplier will apply to join the FSF Dynamic Purchasing System 2 via Jagger. That is the new name for Bravo Solution. DWP commercial team will then assess potential suppliers against predetermined criteria, and they will then send a notification to the supplier either accepting or rejecting the application via Jagger. Once accepted, the supplier will be given instructions on how to complete the accreditation process on Basware, and the supplier and DWP will then approve the supplier on the Basware system. That will mean that suppliers are then eligible to receive requests for quotes. I mentioned earlier the supplier will receive an automated email to notify them that there's an RFQ being published on Basware. And the supplier at that point will decide whether or not they're interested. If they are, they will respond with their quote by the deadline, which will be clearly detailed on the request for quote. Once the deadline's reached, DWP buyers will then access the Basware system and evaluate the quotes that have been received and inform the suppliers of the outcome on the Basware system. So if you've not already applied, then you can register for the DPS2 on Jagger. Further details on the Flexible Support Fund DPS2, including the instructions to potential suppliers and the terms and conditions, can be found on the Jagger system. I will share these slides. So suppliers will either log in if they've already got an account set up on Jagger, or they will register at the Bravo Solution website, and then they'll search for the project reference number and the pre-qualification questionnaire reference number. Suppliers will need to complete the selection questionnaire, and if successful, they'll then be given instructions on how to complete the accreditation on the Basware system that will be issued by our commercial team in the award letter. So where can you find additional support? So you can, once you actually log on to Jagger, you'll be able to see all the supplier guidance on there, including any messages that have been published by our commercial team. If you need technical support, then you can contact either the Jagger help desk or the Basware help desk. And if it's non-technical and you're just looking for some further information, then if you could send a message directly to our commercial team. If you're already registered on Jagger, you can do that directly on Jagger. If not, there is an email address provided in these slides where you can contact for further information. And that's all from me. Thank you, Matt. Stop sharing now.
Fantastic. Thank you, Adele. Really useful, really interesting. Does anybody have any questions, or what questions would you have for Adele and DWP? Looks like you might have got away with it. Okay, perfect. No questions. So we'll move on to the next agenda items. I'd like to introduce Dr. Katie Jones, who's a research fellow at the Manchester Metropolitan University. And she'll be giving us an overview of the research programme that she's currently undertaking at MMU. So Katie, I will hand over to you to let you know we are doing really well for time, so no rush whatsoever.
Oh, be careful, you can't say things like that, Greg. Thanks very much, Greg. Let me just share my screen. Give me a shout if you can't see that. So thank you so much for inviting me today to this session. It's great to see so many faces I know and new ones too. So I'm going to talk about our research project at the moment, which is called Universal Credit and Employers, Exploring the Demand Side of Active Labour Market Policy. I'll unpack a little bit about what we mean by that and what we're trying to do. But it's an ESRC funded piece of research, so it's an independent piece of research, so we really gratefully acknowledge their support, but also the support of ERSA and the DWP who helped us to get this research off the ground. So I'm the project lead, but I'm working with the researcher Dr. Callum Carson, who I think some ERSA members might recognise as a former policy officer, and we're both researchers from the Centre for Decent Work and Productivity at Manchester Metropolitan University's Business School. So we're interested in all things decent work. So it's great to hear about the activity that's going on already in this call. You can give us a follow on UC_employers if there are any Twitterers amongst us. So before I tell you about what the project involves, let me just start with a little bit of context. I know this is stuff that you guys all know already, but I think it's important to sort of start us off on the same page and see where the focus of the research has come from. So as you'll all be aware, universal credit requires claimants to engage in job seeking and other work-related activities like legacy benefits. It adopts a work-first approach, emphasising moving people into jobs quickly. It might also, and this is the sort of key difference, might also involve new expectations or support for people in work to increase their pay through progressing or taking on additional hours of work, but that space is very much sort of being worked through at the moment. There's the in-work progression commission, so it's a real sort of important time to be doing research on this sort of policy development. So against that backdrop of the sort of national policy, there are obviously the various programs that many people in the call might be involved in. So we've got Kickstart, Restart, formerly had the work programme, we've got the work and health programme, and the local variations and the sort of myriad of different support. So we're interested in both the policy landscape and also people's employers' experiences of engagement with those programmes. Now, research and policy making has today overwhelmingly really centred and focused on individuals. So, what's the experience of job seekers in these programmes? And that's an obvious focus, but I think an important one. But there's a real gap in terms of employers and our understanding of what they think of this policy space. Are they thinking about it at all? That's an important question. Does it impact on their businesses? And what are their views on the best way of supporting people into work? So I have blogged on this in terms of identifying why we think the voice of employers needs more attention. So there's a link there if anyone's interested in that. Sorry, there's a slight echo here. But we know that, whilst these job search expectations are applied to claimants, it might have implications for the way that employers recruit. And as the job creators, they're in control of the opportunities that we're trying to link people up to. So they're absolutely critical to universal credit's effectiveness. So how are we going to explore this issue? I won't go over the aim because it maps on quite neatly to the research questions that we've got. So we've got 4 different research questions that we're hoping to answer with this research. We want to know how how UK active labour market policy is both understood and experienced by employers. Do they know about universal credit? Are they aware of the sort of conditions that job seekers are expected to meet? Does this impact on UK businesses, including how they recruit, retain and progress their staff? For example, are they engaging with their local job centres and other providers? Do they see them as a recruitment channel? Third, does that vary for employers who are working in different sectors? So are the views of and experiences of social care sector employers different to those in hospitality, for example? And then finally, which I think is the most sort of relevant question for this group, is how employment services can work effectively with employers. And we have a focus on sort of mainstream employment support through the job centre. But I think, I think it's important to glean insights both from the wider employability sector, and on the flip side of that, we hope that the findings of this research might be useful and of value to you guys as well in terms of developing your offer and thinking on that. So how are we going to try and answer those key questions? So it's a qualitative piece of work, an entirely qualitative piece of work, but it's a substantial one. So it will involve 120 interviews with 3 key stakeholder groups. So first of all, in the sort of chunkiest group there is directly speaking with employers, and 80 employers. So we're trying to recruit 80 employers operating across Greater Manchester or West Yorkshire. Employers are broadly defined, so it's really anyone who's got influence and power over recruitment, and line managers, including owner managers, HR managers, line managers. What we're trying to get at there is trying to understand, how this policy interacts with their business practices and how they recruit, retain, manage their staff. So we're really interested in that, at the coalface level. We've got a slight sectoral focus. So within that 80, we're recruiting from hospitality, retail, social care. We do have an other wildcard category, and we've already interviewed quite a range of different employers. We are trying to recruit businesses from across different sectors of different sizes. And the critical thing to emphasise is that employers don't need to know anything about universal credit to take part. I think we're a bit worried that people will read the recruitment material and think, I don't know too much about universal credit, and put it back down again. So we're trying to, whether or not they've really engaged, whether or not they've offered a kickstart placement, or if they've just not engaged with the sort of policy explicitly. Anyway, we're still interested in their views as employers who are offering the opportunities that job seekers want to access. Now we've been really going for it since summer this year, and it has been a difficult environment to try and recruit employers in, as I'm sure you'll imagine, but we've made great progress in the Greater Manchester area. In terms of the remaining employer interviews, we need 7 more in retail, especially the sort of larger retailers. So at the moment we've just got a couple of sort of small micro businesses in there, and 4 in hospitality. So if there are 11 people on this call and each of you could link us up to 1 employer, every employer counts at this stage. We've made less progress in West Yorkshire, so if anyone's got any sort of links there, then please do let us know. So that's the employers, but we're also conducting a range of interviews with local stakeholders, again in Greater Manchester and West Yorkshire, and that involves a range of different people working, in a range of different roles. So we've got local government, local employer representatives, local employment services, and we welcome the involvement of the provider community there. So if there's people working in, direct customer facing roles or in sort of employer engagement teams in the Greater Manchester area, then please do let us know if you'd be interested in being part of that local stakeholder group. And the purpose of those interviews is just to try and get a sense of how national policy is impacting locally on the ground, whether or not it's sort of known about, whether or not there are any sort of issues that are coming in relation to the sort of employer focused space. And then finally, the sort of final set of interviews is around national stakeholder interviews, which is a similar sorts of stakeholders, but people who are interacting at the national policy level. So that's it in a nutshell. I won't go through, you know what an interview involves, but the thing here to reiterate is that interviews will be as flexible as possible. So we hopefully the field work should be complete by April next year. So if people are just too busy now in the run up to Christmas, then there's time to engage later on, and we'll be as flexible as we can around our interviewees. And finally, I just wanted to sort of plug a few ways. If you're interested in the project, if you can help at all, then please do first of all get in touch with us. Whether or not you can help us out with some interviews is I mean, that's great, but if you're just interested in finding out about how we get on, then just get in touch and we'll keep you up to date with how it progresses. You can follow us on Twitter. Even better, if you think this is a great project, you can tweet about that. And just help us to spread the word more generally. We've got the sort of usual recruitment materials, and we'll be happy to share that, happy to blog anywhere, happy to come and chat about the project to anyone really that's interested. And I just wanted to plug a face-to-face event that will be coming up in January, yet to be confirmed, but I'm hoping to confirm that within the next week, and we will make sure it does not clash with the ERSA conference of the year. And in this event, we'll be focusing on, we're using the sort of end of Kickstart as a bit of a hook to reflect on, what were the successes, what were the lessons learned, and how are we thinking about employer engagement in this, employment support going forward. So I'll wrap up there, Greg, but happy to take any questions and just happy to chat with anyone who's interested in the project.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Katie. Does anybody have any questions for Katie? Again, while people might be thinking, you've got a bit of interest in the comments box or the chat box, Katie. So Sheila Sturgeon, very interested in getting involved and included her contact details for you there. So thank you for that, Sheila. Sounds really interesting project, and yeah, something we'd be keen to support and get involved in as well. So thank you for that, Katie. Last call for any questions before we move on. Perfect. Well, thank you very much. So that brings us nicely on to Laura Whitehurst, who's the Head of Operations for the Princess Trust, and she'll be discussing the youth provision in GM that Sharon touched on earlier. So Laura, over to you.
So, hi Greg, thank you so much for the introduction, and thanks Sharon as well for teeing me up earlier. Good morning everyone, really excited to be part of this and to meet you all and have the opportunity to share about the work that the Princess Trust are currently doing across Greater Manchester. I'm going to share my screen with a little infographic, just really outlining our programmes, which I will go through for you all. And basically I will start to talk a little bit about the work we're doing across all 10 boroughs in Greater Manchester. We are currently funded and supported by Greater Manchester Combined Authority and the Department of Education, delivering the Future Workforce Fund, which is working with young people between 11 and 25 to live, learn and earn, and support them to gain meaningful experiences, confidence, employment, education and training, also to look to start work in the self-employment sphere as well. So just to outline our main parts of our provision, we deliver a number of programmes aimed at young people starting their journey, potentially through schools and in education for those specifically that are at risk of expulsion in schools, all the way through to employability, pre-employability, employment courses and self-employment all the way up to the age of 30. So the Prince's Trust itself operates in Greater Manchester, specifically across all 10 local authority areas, and we do have provision in each of those local authority areas. Starting off with our school provision, we deliver our Curriculum for Life programme in our Achieve Club, which is flexible programme supporting 11 to 19-year-olds in education settings, which work to develop key life skills for young people. We also deliver a Mosaic secondary school mentoring programme, which is working to inspire young people to engage in world of work opportunities, which connect them with really fantastic role models from lots of different careers and really set young people on the path of thinking about where they would like to be and linking them up with role models to inspire them about their future choices. And our final part of our school provision is our Achieving Centre, which is our alternative provision, which is for under 16s who aren't engaging in school or who are at risk of exclusion. And we support them in a variety of courses and programmes in centre as part of their school day to really re-engage them back into education. Moving on to something that's probably a little bit more relevant in the employment support sphere, we work with young people from the age of 16 who are at risk of NEET or who are NEET to engage them in education, training and employment opportunities. So we start really with our NEET engagement programmes. This is for young people who are from marginalised groups or those that are furthest away from the labour market. We deliver a number of programmes called Explore. So the Explore programmes are really there to kind of lay the foundations for young people to start thinking about their next steps, to help them build confidence, develop those life skills and improve their language literacy and numeracy. Due to the pandemic, we adapted these programmes, which were traditionally face-to-face, to deliver online. And now that we have kind of gone back to our face-to-face provision, we are still finding that young people are engaging really well online, specifically those young people from more marginalised groups or who struggle with anxiety or mental or physical health challenges. And we find that giving young people the choice to engage both online and in centre have really kind of benefited a wide range of young people and ensure that geography isn't necessarily a barrier for young people's engagement. We deliver Explore both in our centre, which is based in Ancoats. If you've not been, please do pop in and say hello. It's a fantastic youth centre. Or we deliver it out in the local authority boroughs. So we have bases in Bury and Wigan and various youth zones where we can support young people in their local areas. Moving on to our kind of pre-employment provision, one of our largest kind of provisions that we support under Future Workforce Fund is our pre-employment and employment provisions, where we create tailored interventions to support young people that are moving into employment. If we're following the young person's journey through the trust, we usually would start on a Get Started programme. Now, these are really short, sharp interventions for young people, aged between 16 and 25, to support them to find something that really inspires them. All of our Get Started programmes have a little bit of a hook or a theme that young people will hopefully see and become inspired by. So we have our Get Started with Amazon Web Services, Deep Racer for our specific kind of tech programs that we're running. We have our Get Started with music, with arts, with culture. We have a lot of Get Started in STEM subjects and in sports. We work a lot with City in the Community and the Manchester United Foundation to do Get Started with football, and all of them encompass a employability element to them. So whilst the young people are learning about a sector that really excites them, they're also learning about how to gain confidence, how to present themselves in a work setting, how to get up on time, how to learn key life skills, and also gain an interest in a certain sector, which we can hopefully then harness at the end of the week and lead them on to either another provision within the Prince's Trust or onto a further opportunity with that delivery partner or with another kind of skills and training provider. we are always on the lookout for fantastic Get Started delivery partners to support us in these aims. We recently held a Get Started with Anton Deck, which was incredible. We supported young people getting into the media industry, and from that programme 10 young people have gained apprenticeships and also work within the media industry in Media City. So these programs really do work, and a lot of our young people do come to these programs with quite low self-esteem and a little bit lost in what they want to achieve. And it's really great to be able to harness the passion they gain during that week to lead them into really meaningful opportunities. And then moving into our Get Into provision, we've again adapted this largely due to the emerging needs in the sector, specifically relating to the Kickstart provision. So we've been working closely with employers that currently are working with their Kickstart placements to support young people on a pre-Kickstart programme, which falls into our Get Into provision. So if you are an employer, for example, who are looking to support 20 to 30 young people into Kickstart places in your organisation, we will work with those young people prior to joining the organisation to ensure that they are ready to hit the ground running when they start. So we do employability sessions with these young people. We work on timekeeping, budgeting, building confidence, working within a new workplace, and giving them a proper introduction to the sector that they'll be looking to start their placement in. These have been so successful when we've been working with employers to really maximise their Kickstart placements and ensure that young people are ready to hit the ground running when they start. And again, we're looking for partners who do want to kind of use our services to support young people utilising their Kickstart placements. And not only do we do our pre-Kickstart programs, we do our general Get Into programs. We have a number of long-standing partners, which I'm sure you'd recognise from Marks and Spencer's, TK Maxx and Boots, who work with us on a regular basis, where we do pre-employability work with our young people to get them ready to take up placements within the store with the aim of gaining employment at the end of it. These young people end up having a really valuable experience. These courses can last anywhere between 2 weeks and 12 weeks, where young people gain really important life skills, gain a really great experience for their CV. And at the end of the programme, if they decide to interview for a vacancy that's live with that employer, they can do. But ultimately, if they decide that they've tried a sector and it's not quite for them, they have gained really valuable experience they can put on their CV and look to take on the next challenge. So our Get Into programs are still, of course, looking for partners, corporate partners. We're currently signed up with BAM Construction, who are going to be one of our major corporate partners of 2022, where we'll be supporting young people into the construction industry. And we're looking regularly for new industries for these young people to engage with. So again, at the end of this, end of my section, I will put my details in the chat if you do want to get in touch and discuss about getting involved in any of our pre-employment provision. We also do a Get Hired programme, which basically exists as a speed interview process. It's a very short, sharp provision, 1 to 2 days, if that, where if you have a number of vacancies as an employer, you can come to the Prince's Trust and we will match work-ready young people with these vacancies. The point of Get Hired is to see the young person as they are and not for what's written on their CV. So employers will get the opportunity to meet with work-ready young people who we have coached, who we have supported, who we've geared up for this interview, and they will meet with employers on a 15 to 20-minute basis to then hopefully proceed into the next stage of your recruitment process. It's a really great opportunity to diversify workforces, to encourage a new kind of work-ready cohort of young people to enter the industry, but also it's a really great opportunity to gain experience from young people who have been seeking work for a while, who are really passionate about joining your company. So again, really fantastic opportunity and pre-employment course that we deliver. And then finally, moving on to our self-employment provision, we support young people aged 18 to 30 with our self-employment provision. This is kind of delivered mostly by our corporate volunteers who all have great experience within the sector, and they provide advice and support to young people to start their own businesses. We work with a wide range of young people on their business launches. So once they've completed our course with the Prince's Trust in self-employment, they will then be matched with a business mentor that they will work with for 6 to 12 months with the aim of launching their business. We have had some amazing businesses launched through our self-employment provision. If any of you are local, well, I'm sure you're local to Manchester, but the Hip Hop Chip Shop in Ancoats was a Prince's Trust young person business, and they are going from strength to strength if you ever want to go in and experience some great fish and chips. But we have some incredible businesses that have all been started through our self-employment provision. We provide grants and mentoring to turn their business idea into a reality, and we're always looking for more self-employment groups to link up with to really promote these programs. And finally, we have our financial incentives. So as the Trust, we deliver our Development Award grants, which are small, fast access grants for young people to remove financial barriers which are preventing access to education, employment and training opportunities. So if you're working with a young person who is struggling to cross over that financial barrier to access education, we can provide that grant. So for example, when young people are accessing college and need support with equipment for college, that can be books, that can be tools, that can be hair and beauty packages for them to start their course, we can provide that grant for them to be able to access that education. Similarly to in employment, if young people are struggling with travel or are struggling with their first month of travel to their job, we can support them with a month of travel passes before their first wage come in. It's extremely broad, so we are happy to respond to requests so long as there is a need for that young person and there is a barrier preventing them from taking their next step. So again, you can contact us. I will put my details in the chat and you can get in touch to find out about any of these courses. And also I will send you I will send everybody that wants one a link to how to access any of these courses and also our courses coming up for the next month. So I believe that is everything from me. That just basically outlines the work we're doing in Greater Manchester, and we're really excited specifically from January to be working closer in the local authority areas to respond to local need and ensure that each area has their own targeted provision by the Prince's Trust.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Laura. Really good, thorough update. Thank you for that, and some fabulous opportunities for young people across GM. And yeah, I can vouch for the Hip Hop Chip Shop in Ancoats. I have been there and enjoyed it myself, and again a fabulous venue that you've got in Ancoats as well. So encourage anyone when it's safe to do so. If you've not been there, get over there and have a look at it. Fabulous venue for young people. Does anyone have any questions for Laura at all? Looks like our presenters are getting away with it today. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Laura. We'll move swiftly on. We're flying through this, doing really well for time. So next up is Afi Rashid. Afi's the Activity Hub Manager for Interventions Alliance that are part of the CTEC group. And Afi is going to give an overview of the Manchester CFO Activity Hub. So Afi, over to you.
Hi, morning. Thank you, Greg. Thank you for the introduction. I'm just going to share my screen with a short presentation. I appreciate that you've probably been watching a few presentations today, so I will keep it brief. If you give me a sec. Right, can you all see that?
Yeah, we've got that. Thank you, Afi.
Great, thank you. I'll go if that's okay. So thank you for the introduction, Greg. I'm here to introduce you to the CFO activity hubs in Greater Manchester, particularly my branch, which is based in central Manchester, opposite the Arndale Centre. So as you are aware, CTEC have an established footprint of delivering employability and skills across the country, in particular in Manchester, where they're very well known for the good work that we do in employability. And recently this year, the Justice Pillar of CTEC Interventions Alliance won the bid to deliver the CFO activity hubs in the 3 regions, Northwest, Southwest and the Southeast. So I'll focus on the Northwest in particular, where we have 3 branches, Liverpool, Manchester and Warrington, and I manage the CFO Activity Hub based in Manchester. So what is the CFO Activity Hub? Some of you may have heard, this is a new initiative that has gone live this year. Earlier this year in June, 1st of June, we opened our doors where we provide a resettlement hub. To be fair, it's a supportive environment. It's a participant hub that offers a home from home experience to those participants who have recently been released from custody and are progressing into the community. And that's the support that we offer to help desist them from crime, to help reintegrate them into the community, establish a purpose, a place for them in society within their family life, and to give them a route, a pathway of progression. So the CFO Activity Hubs, it basically is a safe and supportive environment space. It's, as I mentioned earlier, it's a home from home place, and that's exactly how we try to advocate it to participants. It's their hub, it's an activity hub where participants, whether they have been recently released from custody or they've had a suspended sentence, they are in the process of reintegrating into the community via their probation. And our purpose is to provide them with a safe space where they can reintegrate, where they can establish a foundation, a platform for that new life, to develop a new pathway, a new future that is on the opposite side of the law, on the legal side of the law, so that they can progress and find a way forward. We also help to support them building better relationships, excuse me, with their families, with their peers, with society, and help them to find a place for themselves in society, identify their strengths, identify their skills, how we can develop that and how we can further that into the community. We provide them with a tailored level of support. The provision for the activity hubs is completely participant-led. It's very holistic. It's very much based on the participant need. So it's difficult to describe because there isn't a blanket approach and there isn't a set route that we deliver to provide this service to our participants. It purely depends on what barriers and challenges that participant comes with. So I will go through the referral process throughout the presentation, but once we have a referral from probation or a referring organisation, the first thing that we try to identify is what are the priorities for that participant? What are the things that are stopping them from moving forward? And those priorities can change on a day-to-day or a week-to-week basis. We are here to help move those priorities and move on to the next one and move those barriers out of the way to try and establish a path for them to move forward. And that could involve a range of things. It could involve building their self-confidence and working on their self-esteem, helping them to establish a family environment, maybe even housing, working through their debt, helping to establish what their strengths are, their skills within the industries. So there's a range of different areas that we focus on because there are a range of different participants that could walk through the door, bearing in mind that some of these people have been in custody for many, many years, and society has significantly developed since when they went into custody from when they have been released. And it's about re-educating them, creating them with a mindset so that they can feel comfortable and confident in settling back into the community. So this is just, I've dropped in a couple of pictures of our hub, and I hope that at some point, if you're ever around Greater Manchester, ever around the city of Manchester, should I say, we are directly opposite the market entrance of the Arndale Centre, across the road, just across the tram line. You can't miss us. We are an activity hub. There is an intercom button to just identify yourself. And if you are about, please do buzz the door and come on in, and we can give you a lovely tour of the hub. So this is our snug area where we have informal discussions with one-to-one participants. And we do have formal one-to-one rooms as well, where we carry out those initial assessments, those inductions. But throughout the hub, it has a very informal and homely setting. The hub is shared between ourselves, between the staff, the team, and the participants. There is no us and them area. It's very much a shared space. We work with participants and we encourage participants to get involved and take on opportunities that are available as well within the community and within the hub. This is our kitchen. As you can see, my administrator is taking full advantage. This is where Sophie, our administrator, and my office manager spend a lot of their time encouraging participants to come in, make use of the kitchen, prepare meals for themselves, their family, so that they can pack them and take them home, so they have food for the next few days. every participant that comes into the hub, whether it's for an appointment, a one-to-one or appointment, or whether it's for to carry out an activity or do something practical, they will always leave with the opportunity to have a meal. They're more than welcome to have that meal in the hub, or they can again pack it up and take it away to feed themselves over the next few days. But it is very much a welcoming space. Recently, we took part in the Macmillan Bake Off, where we had a few participants come in and bake some amazing delights that we sold and raised £100 for charity. Given that we are a very new provision, the numbers are slowly building up nicely. But at that time in September, it was quite a small number of participants we had on board, and to raise that amount of money amongst them was overwhelming. We also recently took part in the World Food Day last month, and we wrapped that into Black History Month as well, where we had some participants come in and they cooked up some amazing delicatessens. We had some, I think it was peas and rice, we had chicken curry, we had these little goat pasties that one of the participants made, and they were in their element to be able to come in and feel like they are home from home and utilise that kitchen to make the best thing that warms everybody's hearts, and it's food. It brings the community together, it gets people talking, and it gives them a sense of purpose as well, and that identification, that realization that they've actually made this, and it's heartwarming for them to feel that they have a place within the society in our activity hub. So other than these wonderful things that we do in the hub, there are also a range of activities that we have on offer, and these are cut up into 3 different areas. So we have the human and citizenship, the community and social, and the interventions and services, which I will go through. So the first area, the human and citizenship area, we have a range of activities that are designed to work and develop a person's confidence, self-esteem, and help them to move forward with that. We like to roll all of our activities into real life circumstances, real life situations and skills. So what they learn from the hub, they can quite easily take out and relay out into the real life to help support and manage. So things like we have a number of activities that work on confidence building, helping them to build and manage their own mental health. Some of them are more practical minded, some of them are mindful, and they work on their mental health. We have a range of opportunities to help people to develop that confidence by integrating within the hub, the team in the hub, the staffing team, and we ensure that whenever there are activities that are taking place in the hub, as an activity hub, we ensure that there are a lot of supportive staff that are carrying those activities out, and that participants are massively supportive throughout, and they feel like that they are very much included within the purpose of the hub. When you come into the hub, you will notice that a lot of the decor that we have displayed in the hub is that has been designed from participants. We currently have a huge wall on the side of the hub, which participants are working on to design some sort of Manchester monument and create a wall that reflects what Manchester means to them, and making sure that they have that inclusive, safe environment to come to helps them to have that positive mindset about the area that they live in. We also deliver a lot of sports and physical activities, and that can be on a one-to-one or a group basis. Naturally, everything that we do, everything that we deliver is very much risk assessed. Every activity that we have, every appointment that we have coming in, and every drop-in that we have expected is also risk assessed. We need to ensure that we have risk assessment embedded in every action that we take to ensure that that health and safety is at full point, the main priority for every client and the staff as well. We have a range of arts and crafts activities, which has become quite a big hit with the participants. So when you pop into the hub, you'll notice a lot of clay pots dotted around in the hub. And for some reason, there was a big craze over a couple of weeks where everybody who came in noticed that there was clay activities going on. And I think when you see a clay pot being made, it instantly makes you want to make one yourself. I certainly had that feeling as well. So practically every participant that has come into the hub and staff has had the opportunity to make a clay pot. And it's great because they've really enjoyed it, and it's not necessarily the end result that they've been looking forward to making. It's the process and the actual activity and what they're being involved in. It's very mindful handling clay. And if any of you have ever had the opportunity to make these things, you will realise that it does take you into a different realm. It helps you to relax. It's a very calming technique, and also there's some kind banter as well within the hub, which supports those participants to move forward on a step-by-step basis. And some of the participants that have come in to make these things, you would not anticipate in a million years that they would be sat there playing with clay or knitting or making a Christmas card. And I think because they are so used to having a particular type of reputation or stereotype that they need to live up to, in particular being in custody, being in that type of environment, and they're used to having that stereotype and being in a particular clique. And once they come in to the activity hub, they leave all of that on the other side of the door, and they can come in and be themselves, and they can do those things to make themselves happy. They can make a clay pot to give to their mum to say happy birthday, instead of having to do illegal activities to gift their mum with something. They can make little Christmas decorations to make Christmas a little bit more festive for their kids and their family. And these are the things that they would never have seen themselves being able to get involved in. But at the same time, they can create these themselves. They can work on the right side of the law, and they also have that, I guess, a little bit of, you have that pride feeling to be able to gift your loved ones with something that you have made as well, in particular if they haven't been around for the past few years. So the community and social element is another area that we focus on, and again, the activities are rolled into many different elements that we develop each participant on. Some of them are based within the employability sector, not necessarily developing or progressing people into employment, but for many of the participants that are enrolled onto the provision, it's about developing them and upskilling them to a point where they feel like, yes, I'm ready to entertain looking for a job. I'm ready to start applying. I'm ready to think about further training. And up until that point, they don't necessarily know what they want to do, where their strengths, where their skills lie. And our job is to make sure that we establish that. We help them to identify what they're good at. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an industry-specific skill. It can be an interest that they enjoy doing. It can be something that they do on a daily basis and they don't necessarily recognise that this could lead to full-time employment. We work with a number of services within our hub, and self-employment, social enterprise is one of them. We have a couple of participants who are most recently going through a social enterprise 12-month course with ourselves, where we provide them with that full-on 12-month support, where they have a self-employment idea, or maybe they just have they like the idea of going self-employed, and we will provide them with a self-employed mentor for the full 12 months to help launch that idea, develop it, create a business plan, and bring it into some sort of reality, so that business is fully fledged and it is being delivered. And we also provide them with that in-work support, where we can help them with those finances to ensure that that their business has that longevity. And we have a couple of clients that are most recently going through that with RIFT, the social enterprise organisation, and their feedback has been overwhelming because they didn't in a million years feel like that they could ever get to this point. Similarly, we work with a number of other organisations on a partnership basis within the hub to deliver some more of the specific interventions. Activate are one of the organisations that work very closely with us, and they are based in the hub on a weekly basis. They come in and they deliver a very tailored service based in sports and media, music and dance. So some more of the cultural areas, and they have specific delivery streams that focuses on developing participants' interest. If I give you an example, we have one participant that most recently come in who absolutely loves rapping, and he doesn't rap in the conventional way. It's very much about his experience and his life experience and what's brought him to this point, how he feels, and all those underlying feelings that he wouldn't necessarily go from Act to B, and he is now in the process of putting together his music to be able to take it to the next level. And hopefully someday he will be winning an award somewhere, because it is absolutely brilliant what he wants to do, and he just lacks the support. So there are a number of areas that we try to develop people in, things like helping them with public transport. We provide them with the travel reimbursement to and from the hub and any activities that they want to take part in. We also carry out a number of walking initiatives that taps into the physical exercise routes, and some of those involve certain tourist routes within Greater Manchester. So there are a number of landmarks and sightseeing places to see in Manchester, and we've planned out some of those routes where people can go out and they can build and develop upon their culture and make themselves more aware as to what's available and what's out there. So the interventions and services is the most specific area that we focus on, and this we use to deliver this area. We use a lot of the bespoke services to deliver a more structured area of support. So some of these areas look at restorative justice, substance misuse, and at the moment unpaid work as well, where we are tapping into local organisations to provide them with that voluntary experience as well. Some of that will look like community work, where we can develop and regenerate some communal gardens, some communal patches, and we'll be working with the council to be able to take up on those opportunities. Every activity and every support provided is very much supported by the staff within the hub, and we ensure that we walk with that participant step by step throughout the journey. So the eligibility of the programme is quite simple, to be fair, and I think it covers many of the participants that are with probation. So participants just need to be over 18 years of age. They need to be under supervision or licence, recently released, whether it's suspended or custodial, economically inactive, and proof of right to work within the UK. In addition to the service that we deliver, we also focus on a few priority groups where we work with those participants from the BAME community, anybody with a disability or a health condition, over 50s, veterans, and female participants as well. So we deliver a similar service as I've just mentioned with these priority groups as well. However, the service is a lot more streamlined towards that particular cohort. And in certain circumstances, say for example, women, when we work with women that are invited into the hub, we tend to have a women only day where the hub is closed for those female participants. And similarly, activities as well that we carry out tend to be with those women in particular, and we risk assess every element to that as well.
Fantastic, Afi. That really good. Have you got your details there so people can discuss the referral process? Yes,
absolutely. So what I will do, because the referral process is quite simple, so I'll put my contact details in the chat, and I will also put the referral hub email in the chat as well. So if anyone's got any questions about the referral, or if you've got any participants, or if you think of anybody who could really benefit from this provision, then please do get in touch. I'm sure that alongside the services that have been discussed today, I think that we could work really well together, because it sounds like that we all have the participants at the main point of our delivery.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Afi. Much appreciated. And again, I can second, having been to the hub, I can second what a fantastic place it is, and the mosaic, the Manchester mosaic that's going to go on the wall promises to be quite spectacular. So thank you for that. As Afi said, she'll put her contact details in the chat box, and if anyone wants to follow up with Afi, then please feel free to do so. So that brings us nicely onto our virtual round table. So part of this forum, part of this network is that networking is very key for us. It's all about partnerships. It is all about collaboration. Obviously, networking can be slightly challenging on a Microsoft Teams event, and we spoke about whether we should break up into breakout rooms, but I think we all felt from our experiences over the last 12 to 18 months, the kind of virtual roundtable is probably the best way. And the fact that it's been so long that we've all been together, it'd be great to get an update from those that want to on the services that are currently providing. So Those that submitted slides will be sharing to everyone who they are, what they're doing now, and what they're looking for from a partnership. It will be 90 seconds each. So Laura is on the slide, so she's going to share them. It will be a strict 90 seconds, so I've got the clock at the ready. And unfortunately, I will need to close you down if you go over the 90 seconds, because we need to ensure that we provide everyone with the opportunity. It will be back to back. It will be fast paced, but when your name is called, please feel free to share your camera and then obviously talk through your slides, and your 90 seconds will then begin. And I believe that I am first up. So here we go. Get the stopwatch at the ready, and off we go. So a high-level overview from CTEC Group. So CTEC Group is made up of 3 core pillars. So we have our justice pillar, which specialises in services and interventions for ex-offenders, working very closely with probation services, and in Manchester, as Afi just discussed, deliver the CFO Activity Hub. We've got our education and skills pillar that deliver study programmes, traineeships, apprenticeships and adult education budget, and across Greater Manchester currently delivering a digital inclusion programme for the over 45s. And then we've got our employability and health pillar, which is made up of 2 organisations, CTEC Plus, that deliver what you would regard as your mainstream employability programmes. So a prime and subcontractor on Restart, JETS, work and health programme, and again deliver work and health programme as a subcontractor across Greater Manchester. And then you've got Plus CIC, who are our community interest company, so a specialist health and wellbeing provider that also deliver specialist employment services in mental health, autism, learning difficulty, as well as specialist disability services as well. CTEC are looking for partners that are interested in delivering the up-and-coming National Career Service. So if you are interested in partnering with us, my contact details are on the screen. There we go, 87 seconds. So I will now hand over to the next person, who is Peter McCreary from the Pathway Group. Peter.
Hi, thanks so much for that. So just a very quick summary. So we're a training provider. We currently are delivering in the Greater Manchester area under the Combined Authority on the adult education budget. We also deliver some ESF contracts outside of Manchester, but more specifically, we're looking at traineeships at the moment, advanced learner loans, apprenticeships. We do deliver on the DWP Restart in the Midlands. And I suppose the main thing for me is looking at how I can work with other people so that there's a kind of cross function as to what we're delivering, instead of stepping on toes, how we can work together to support the local community to offer a great training programme. So my contact details are there if anybody wants to get in touch afterwards. And then obviously there's a heat map there to show where we are delivering outside of the Greater Manchester also. So thank you very much for your time.
Fantastic. Thank you, Peter. Under a minute. Much appreciated. Next up, Jane Garner from Indus UK.
Thanks very much, Greg. I am Jane Garner. I'm the Head of Integration in Greater Manchester. Really proud to be part of the Indus team that's been delivering employability programmes in GM since 2014. We're really passionate about our approach to partnership working and the positive impact that that can have to help people to move forwards. So we've got 4 key programmes in Greater Manchester currently. Our employability programmes have the main aim of moving people into lasting work, and that supports the Indus mission of enabling better lives. There's large scale delivery for GM, so we have 13 Indus sites across Greater Manchester and 21, including our supply chain. And in terms of partnerships, the scale of the programmes means that there's every possibility that some of our participants are engaged with other services as well. So we want to reduce some of that silo working and make sure that people get the wraparound support that they need. There's loads that we can do for that truly integrated approach. We want to make sure that we're offering that support to our partners too. So we want to engage people that are providing services that help to remove barriers. We can support to build capacity, whether that is through sharing our corporate training, our resources, or co-location. We've got a free community referral portal, so that connects the individual to the support that they need, and then performance fund. So a pot of money that can help to purchase support around gaps in provision, any specialist support that we can that provides the right things at the right time for residents in GM to be successful.
Excellent, thank you, Jane. Wonderful, thank you. Next up, Matt Dooley from Momentic.
Hi everyone, morning. Yes, Matt Dooley from Momentic. We are a self-employment specialist here in Manchester. We've got over 25 years experience delivering self-employment interventions across the country, both direct contracts but also for primes. We are a specialist intervention partner on the Restart scheme here in Greater Manchester for Ingis. We attended their launch event last week with Jane, which was fantastic. So we're really excited about helping unemployed people start a business through that programme. Some of you might know our contract manager for the region, Frank Lavery. He's been working on the patch for over 10 years now, so feel free to contact myself or Frank. What we're looking for from a partner, it's that kind of honesty, trustworthiness, and anyone who's got a focus and an interest in small business. Small businesses had a tough time the last couple of years, particularly those coming from an unemployed background. So we're keen to hear from partners across GM who want some support or who have some initiatives that could help the self-employed get back to work. Thanks very much.
Smashing, thank you, Matt. And next up is John Newland from Sure Trust. John.
Hi there, guys. Yep, just to introduce myself first of all. Obviously, I'm a commercial partnership manager for Sure Trust. I tend to deal with kind of the north of the country in Scotland, although we do project work all over. Sure Trust themselves are actually a group of organisations now, including both Prospects and Ixion, as well as Homes to Inspire and some other elements of what we do. And we divided into 5 different business divisions. We have our employability, our skills and learning, our justice, our community health and wellbeing, and our children and young people services. We're not currently delivering a vast amount in GMCA, but we have it as an aspirational area for ourselves to develop some of the other things that we're delivering, and that's across things like work and health programme, Restart, but again, in those 5 business divisions and areas, and particularly the NEETs opportunity that's coming up as well, because we deliver quite a lot of NEETs in other areas. So we'd be keen to look at, from a partnership perspective, any opportunities really to talk to people in the area about where we may be able to use our skills and experience to benefit the people of GMCA, as we have done in many of the other different areas we've developed into as Sure Trust.
Excellent, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Next up is Gareth Fallows from Acorn Training.
Morning, everybody. I'm Gareth Fallows from Acorn Training. Acorn Training's been established for 15 years now, and we've been established very much on strong values, and particularly for support around the LGBTQ+ community. Just to give you a bit of an idea, within Greater Manchester, across the UK, 3% of the demographic is ordinarily LGBTQ+. However, within the Greater Manchester area, it's actually at 10% of the local demographic, which, if you think about it, is around the same size as the demographic as the whole of Rochdale. So we are established on very strong values. We're broken up into 4 areas, which is our skills area, which includes apprenticeships, mainly within health and social care, childcare, and we do deliver the employability practitioner apprenticeships. We have around 1,000 learners on programme nationally for apprenticeships. We deliver adult education budget, and we've got a £4.8 million contract within non-devolved areas. Within GMCA, we have a supply chain of 8 providers where we deliver the health and social care project as part of Skills for Growth, where over the next 3 years we'll be engaging around 3,000 learners. Our second pillar is the health and employability pillar.
Thank you, Gareth. Sorry, I'm going to have to stop you there. The 90 seconds is up. Thank you very much, though. Next up is Grace Bayliss from Business in the Community.
Hi guys, good morning. My name is Grace. I'm the development manager for our job coaching program. As you can see here, we've got a very bold ambition to get 10,000 people supported through our program within the next kind of 20 to 30 months, so the next couple of years. And we kind of have a tandem project. So one arm is enabling our businesses and working with referral organisations to do a job coaching program, but then also we're really working with our businesses as we're a membership organisation to think about how can they be more inclusive. I think I've got one more slide. So this is a bit of a whistle-stop tour and actually how it works. So we're really looking, especially in the Northwest, we're looking for referral organisations. We're currently working with DWP, but anybody who can refer somebody who is over 18, unemployed at the point of referral, and can speak conversational English. They get matched with a business coach and they get over 6 sessions looking at well-being, digital skills, employability skills, and essential transferable skills. And then obviously then we're hoping to launch out wider into the Northwest, and also it'll be a national programme, and I'll put my details in the chat. So we're really looking for small to medium to large organisations who can refer to us, or also thinking about partnership and how we can refer to you after our clients have finished. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Grace. Next up, Sean Mclaughlin from Career Connect.
Morning everyone, I'm Sean Mclaughlin from Career Connect. Career Connect are a Northwest charity, and we are absolutely committed to helping young people and adults realise their potential. We deliver high quality, impartial professional career, employment and training services in a range of schools, in the community and in prisons. And we do deliver the commissioned support services for young people who are NEET or at risk of NEET in Manchester and Salford. Working in partnership with others is absolutely at the heart of everything that we do. We love working in partnerships. I know we're already connected with a lot of people on the call today and a lot of your organisations, but we're always happy to reconnect with people we've not been involved with for a while, and any new organisations, of course, who share our values and can help us support disadvantaged people into positive outcomes and achieve their potential. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sean. I think we've just moved on the slide one too far, so if we can go back to Berry, Laura, one more back. There we go. So Helen Whittle from Berry Employment Support and Training. Do we have Helen on the line? That's probably why Laura fast forwarded. Last call for Helen. No, let's move on. So next is Sheila Sturgeon from Yes Manchester. We can move on to Laura, please. There we go.
Yeah. Morning, everybody. As Greg said, I'm Sheila. I'm from Yes Manchester. Up until last week, we were a KIC. Up until last June, we were a subsidiary of Northwoods Training, but we are now a fully fledged independent registered charity. We work with unemployed and underemployed people in North Manchester, and we help them get into work or better work, basically. Underemployed for us is anybody who is working that has to rely on benefits, state benefits, to make their ends meet. So we absolutely values driven, and that's always positive, community first and person centred. We're a specialist IAG provider, and we also provide digital support and access to free internet enabled computers in our 2 centres, both based in the sort of south side of North Manchester. We also do outreach, or are just about to start doing outreach throughout North Manchester. Basically, we're looking for any opportunities to partner with people who want to support the people who know us and trust us. So communities, disadvantaged communities in North Manchester, drop me an email, give me a buzz. Love to speak to you. Bye.
Amazing. Thank you, Sheila. Next up is Zoe Bourne from United Response.
Hi everybody, thank you. It's been an amazing meeting and I've written down lots of contacts for people, so thank you for that. It's been brilliant. We're United Response, a charity. We run specialist employment projects across Manchester, but most specifically in Trafford. We also are a larger national charity providing care and support. The information there on the slide, really, it's very specific for people, young people with learning disabilities and autism, to develop day-to-day living, finding a house, and also into paid employment. We've been working with Trafford Council for 17 years and have done some really good work there, really positive outcomes. The percentage there, 12.4% of Trafford residents within paid employment, is double the national average, and I think we're quite proud of the small part we've played in that. So specialisms around learning disabilities and autism, and also working with young people in schools and work experience and supported internships. We've got a new 4-year contract with Trafford. We've done some work in York with the DWP, delivering on the DPS, and also been part of things like proof of concept. We're working with Greater Manchester around the Community Renewal Fund. Partners wise, I think I agree with Peter from Pathways. It's about how we collaborate rather than compete. So I think it's about understanding the landscape and all the brilliant partners that are here and seeing where we could create some mutual collaborative projects for the benefit of people in Manchester. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Zoe. Next up is Naomi from the Growth Company.
Hi, I'm Naomi Lagosta. I'm Head of Strategic Partnerships and External Projects for the Growth Company. I just need to warn you, I've got a toddler at home, so if he either makes an appearance or shouts, just please ignore him. So I work in the division that's classed as our employment division, but actually we deliver employment, health, justice and youth contracts. I realise I've not put my contact details on, so I'll put that in the chat. So we're a not-for-profit social enterprise, dedicated economic development and inward investment skills, employment and enterprise. We focus on 3 key areas, which is enabling growth, creating jobs and improving lives. Within Greater Manchester, we deliver a range of both individual and business-facing services as a prime and alliance partnership or a subcontractor, including IPES National Career Service, National Citizen Service, and Working Well programmes like Work and Health and JETS, Restart Scheme. I'm not going to read them all out, so you've got them there. We also have our business-focused part of the Growth Company is Business Growth Hub, Midas and Marketing Manchester. Outside of Greater Manchester, we deliver other contracts, including those mentioned, the Restart Scheme, and a large number of justice contracts, including the activity hubs in Yorkshire and Humber. So for me, what I'd be really keen is what other people have mentioned as well is a real collaboration, referrals obviously onto our programmes, but we ourselves would like to create onward pathways for those people who've participated in some of the provision that we provide, but also greater integration within Greater Manchester. Some of the people on the call I do a lot of work with, and we're really working to try and kind of really cement that collaboration and integration, and it'd be just great to do that with other partners as well.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you, Naomi. Much appreciated. Next up is Elaine Brady from Serco.
Hi, good morning. I'm Programme Lead for Serco, currently leading on Digital Careers Upskill, a programme delivered under GMCA Skills for Growth programme. Critical success factors means our commitment is to engage and start 2,000 employed participants onto the programme, progressing 50% into continued learning or improved labour market status. We're delivering across Greater Manchester, partnering with local supply chain and supporting delivery using our new hybrid model. Serco will be responsible for recruiting and progressing learners with readiness and Microsoft Gold Standard partner, delivering technical training. In addition, for supply chain partners, we'll deliver end-to-end programme. We're looking to add value for employers, employees and persons wishing to reskill into digital or upskill existing digital skills. Keen to work collaboratively with employment partners to offer digital skills to improve labour market status, increased hours, and we can work with persons on 0 contract hours and self-employed with a view to increase hours of work and also offer ongoing training to new recruits that are placed into work. Offering reassurance that in-work aftercare also includes ongoing training for digital skills. My details are there on the first slide, and our courses can be found on GM Skills Map and my email. I'm happy to share any additional information. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Next up, we have Jan from SmartWorks.
Hi, I think you can hear and see me. Greg, thank you. What a wonderful event. I mean, I know a lot of the people who are already on, which is a good news in my capacity as chair of SmartWorks Greater Manchester. But as a lot of people already know, we're a charity. Our services are completely free to the client and to the referral partner, and we support unemployed, disadvantaged and often vulnerable women as they are ready to get into the workplace. Employability services, ages of clients 16 to 66, but we have a specific program focused on young women, which is called Fashion Your Own Future, as you can see. We are open 5 days a week. We deliver 50 plus appointments every week, and it breaks my heart when there are days when there are 4 or 5 members of staff and volunteers available to come in, and yet we haven't had any clients referred to us. So please, unemployed women who are ready to get into the workplace, we are really ready for them to come and see us. The services we deliver are an online coaching session where we help a woman with a CV to get ready to prepare for an interview, to get ready to start applying for a job. And then when the interview is lined up, we have our traditional service, which is a one-to-one styling service where we equip the woman with a fantastic work outfit, quite often brand new clothing from high quality professional women's wear designers and brands. And then when a confidence is lifted, thinking, wow, I actually look like I deserve the job and I could be successful finally, we then take
Jan,
interview coaching. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you. Next up is Ian Hilder from Saffron Interactive.
Oh, that was brutal, wasn't it, Jan? So,
I do apologise.
Anyway, yes, Ian Hilder, Saffron Interactive. We come from an L&D background, vocational training, but are essentially an IT supplier into the sector here. We have a platform that we launched almost exactly a year ago called Create Your Own Future, which is an online environment within which the customers, the clients, the end users can actually go through that whole employability journey. The biggest feature within it is an AI-enabled video-based advisor who works with them throughout that journey, and they actually have a conversation, video interactions with them, with the individual. But it supports the live advisor, enabling them essentially to sort of stretch where they're going with it and seeing at-risk alerts, people who are struggling. But obviously there's benefits there for the user themselves. 30 to 40% of people are actually happy to go through the program without too much of the live intervention. So it's enabling us to actually support more people to a higher quality level with similar resources. We're very keen to work with people because everything can be fully bespoke. It's a technology, can be integrated with other technologies, changing the conversations with it, changing the mentors. So very keen to work with prime providers, advisors on specialist versions of this and looking to develop into various different cohorts. So please do feel to reach out. I'd love to talk to you.
Excellent. Bang on, 90 seconds, Ian. Well done. Well done. Top notch. Next up is Karen Lee from Hopwood Hall College.
Hi everyone. Yeah, we're Hopwood Hall College. We're a vocational college with campuses in Rochdale and Middleton, plus we support several community settings in the area. We are values driven, so all of our curriculum, could you just go back a slide? All of our curriculum is designed to support learners achieve their aspirations. We offer programmes to school leavers and adults with individualised support for learners furthest away from employment and individual learning plans for everyone. Our newest offer includes T-levels and a Getting to Working for unemployed, which includes industry training programmes. And we're currently on the lookout for more partners to collaborate and support our learners with industry opportunities and further curriculum development. And if we do go back one slide, there's an overview of the college values. Thank you. I have shared my contact details, and joining in this video call is my colleague, Rob Marshall Slater, who's Director for Adult and Employer Engagement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. And slides will be shared after this, so not to worry, everyone will be able to see them. Next up is Sevilla Patel from Talent Finder.
Thank you, guys, and apologies, Karen. I don't know if you can, I'm hoping you can all hear me. Sorry, Karen, it seems my slide got more present. Now, obviously, we've got 90 seconds, so I'm going to be aiming what I'm going to be talking about now at organisations who are delivering training and want to discover how to increase learner engagement. Now, I'm going to go fast, so if anything resonates with you or you want more information, I'll be dropping my contact information on the next slide. Now, if you're a training provider, you spent a lot of time and effort creating a virtual training programme, only to find perhaps that learners learners are not actively engaging or participating. Now, this is something that I know educators, training organisations, universities, businesses who do even internal face-to-face training find. Now, in the age of digital, it can be even harder, especially if you don't have eye-to-eye with the learner. So I'm going to share with you 3 top tips of how we've been increasing virtual learner engagement that can help you improve learner outcomes without the overwhelm, which prevents you from wasting both your time and resources on things that don't get you the higher learner engagement. Now, why does this matter? Well, 3 reasons I feel why. 1 is because it helps you transform the lives of your learners. 2, avoid virtual learner fatigue. And 3, better learning outcomes. Here are the 3 tips. Polls. Number 1, within the first 3 minutes, you want to ask a question the learner needs to answer. And if you want to go even deeper, every 10 to 15 minutes, you want to build in a closed checkpoint question that they need to respond to. Number 2, electronic worksheets. Getting them to upload and complete live is a great way of increasing engagement. And then finally, what's worked for us as well is peer-to-peer support group. So accountability by you, the organisation, and the learners. And we have a LinkedIn group that's set up. My name is Sevilla.
Jump in there, Sevilla. Thank you very much for that. So your contacts are on there and we will share the slides. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next up is Ludger Weller from Skill Lab.
Thank you. Good morning. Together with our partners, we empower job seekers to turn their skills into careers. The heart of our solution is a user-friendly AI-enabled platform, accessible via smartphone, that assists individual job seekers in identifying their skill set based on previous jobs, education, and also other experiences. With this skill set, they can match with chosen career goals or see which professions are in reach of their current skill set. They can see to which professions they have a skill gap and can match to educational pathways to overcome this gap. They can match to local vacancies via our cooperation with job aggregators as Atsuna or ERSA. The skill-based interview is built on a skill and occupation ontology connecting over 13,000 skills and almost 3,000 occupations. We enable to do the assessment in 26 languages, all European plus Arabic. This means that somebody can do the assessment in Arabic, but is able to produce a skill resume or CV in English. We empower, next slide please. We empower job coaches of public and private career services with rich skill profiles and labor market data to faster and better service their beneficiaries. But most important, we give job seekers a different perspective and more confidence, as you can read in their statements. With the ILO in Geneva and other 8 organizations, we do now projects in over 25 countries.
Sorry, Ludger, I'm going to have to jump in there. 90 seconds is up, but thank you very much. Next up is Donna Mclaughlin from Northern Care Alliance. Oh, do we have Donna, Northern Care Alliance? Last shout. No, let's move on. So we have Mark Whitaker from Rochdale Training. I didn't know Mark was struggling with connectivity issues. Mark, did you manage to make it? Last shout out for Mark. No, and I think that concludes then, doesn't it, Laura? Oh, People Plus. So we've got People Plus.
Hi, thanks, Greg. Yeah, it's Laura. I'm the Senior Partnership Manager here at People Plus. So People Plus is the leading public sector provider. We support hundreds of thousands of people each year to transform their lives and their business. And our mission is to make a difference to the lives of 1 million people by 2022. Next slide, please. Thanks, Greg. In Greater Manchester, we're currently delivering 3 contracts. So we've got Enterprise and New. We've supported over 4,000 people to consider self-employment in GM and helped just under 2,000 to start or grow a business. We've got NEA, which we've supported 30,000 people to consider self-employment, with 15,000 becoming self-employed. We're currently taking referrals up until the end of December. And then we've also got our Greater Manchester Combined Authority adult education budget, currently supported up to 1,826 people. Employers that we're working with, they through pre-employment training programmes, So some of the live opportunities and the employers that we're working with at the moment is Tesco, Vodafone, McQueen's Dairies, Wagamama, Gent Casino Construction. What we're looking for from the partnership is to build on the existing partnerships that we've got, looking for referral partners, especially over to our skills programs. And I'll put my contact details in the chat, and I'll facilitate any introductions for your frontline staff to our programs. Thanks, Greg.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Laura. I do know that there was one more from Blair Project, but I think Emma was struggling with connectivity. Emma, are you available to present? I can see you've put something in the chat. You're on mute. There we go. I think Laura just needs to switch slide decks if you need your slides. I suppose this is a bit where I do some jazz hands, and there we go. It saves you having to watch me dance. Over to you, Laura.
Hi, you can skip to the next slide, please, Laura. Thank you. So this is the program that we currently well, one of the programs that we're currently offering. It's the green skills, e-mechanic skills. It's been kind of given a few names. We get the referrals at the moment from DWP. It's a 2-week course. The elements of the course are on there. We do 3D printing, battery technologies, sensor technologies, and towards the end of the course they do get a lot of CV writing skills, employability skills and training. And what we are looking for is progression pathways. So we do have some lined up from the course that we ran back in the summer. Our next course is running in November. Actually, it starts next week. So we're just hoping that people can get in touch. On the next slide is my contact details to get in touch with, and we can work together and provide people with either further training or employment.
Sorry, I was on mute then. Thank you very much, Laura. Much appreciated. I think well done, everyone. I think we need to give everyone that presented there a virtual round of applause. It's a fantastic effort from everyone. 90 seconds isn't a long time, but hopefully everyone appreciated the opportunity, and it was amazing to hear all the wonderful things and the wonderful services and provisions that's going on across Greater Manchester. And I know it's been mentioned a couple of times, but collaboration is very key, and it's all about how we can complement each other's services and not compete against services. So a fantastic event. Hopefully everyone has found it really useful. As I said, great to hear from so many providers, and great to see the work that's happening across Greater Manchester. I just want to say a massive thank you to all our presenters today. As we discussed, all the slides will be shared by ERSA. And then, as Elizabeth alluded to earlier, we're hoping that this is our last full virtual networking event. We do run these quarterly, so the next one will be scheduled to be kind of February, March. And the hope is that if things continue as they are, then hopefully we can, at the very least, make that into a hybrid event. Because networking is key, and I would love to get back to that networking. So thank you for everyone. We've got a couple of minutes. I know a couple of people have had to drop off. If anyone's got any questions or anything they would like to raise. Elizabeth, anything you want to finish off with?
No, I just want to say thanks, Greg. Thanks everybody who's presented, and the speedy roundtable at the end was awesome. So great to see everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Second that. Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone. If you're anything like me, you'll have a 12 o'clock Teams meeting. So hopefully the 6.5 minutes you've got back will allow you to do what you need to do before that meeting. But thanks, everyone. Speak to you all soon.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.